All right, at this moment, hundreds of thousands of protesters are on the streets of Paris. We just learned the police have stopped demonstrators as they reach the Constitutional Council, a kind of equivalent to the Supreme Court. CNN's Frederick Pleiken is right in the middle of it all. Fred, if you can hear me, tell us what you're seeing.
Hi there, John. Well, in the last couple of minutes, things have actually kicked off here in Paris. We saw some clashes happening between the riot police here and some of the protesters. Still only a very small part of the protest and a very small part of the protest itself. It certainly seems as though most of it is still very peaceful. However, we did see some big clashes going on here a couple of minutes ago with the cops deploying tear gas, even beating some of the protesters as well, charging the crowd. Whereas the protesters then answered that by throwing bottles and rocks at the cops. So that is something that's going on. If you look at the scene right now, it is still pretty tense around here. We're sort of in an area right now that's between two layers of police. They've sort of gone back a little bit, but there is a lot of tension in the air here. And as you can see, there's still some bangs that are going off as well. So certainly this march one that has gone from one that has been very peaceful from the beginning to not so much right now. Again, the protesters here, of course, very angry at that pension reform that Emmanuel Macron has been trying to essentially beat through the legislative process here. And I think one of the interesting things that you guys see if we pan around, you can see that a lot of the folks here who are coming to protest, they are actually fairly young people who are protesting here. So to them, of course, it's about the pension reform, it's about raising the pension age, but it is also about the way that Emmanuel Macron has tried to do this, using executive powers to try and push all of this through. That's something a lot of people here don't take very well, and it certainly has damaged him, as you can see, considerably politically. It has also damaged the political system here in this country. There are some who say that it's essentially the far right that is benefiting from the fact that there's so much criticism of the government right now. As you can see, there's still some bangs going off behind me, John.
Yeah, flashbangs, smoke bombs. We've seen gas there over the last few weeks. Fred, there is a court decision expected tomorrow. The reason I ask that is these protests tend to get worse as the evening goes on. It's about 4 p.m. local time where you are. Is there a sense that today into tonight, you could see some of the worst of the protests and demonstrations we've seen because the legal avenues may have dried up?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment that is something that could happen. You do feel that there are a lot of people here on the street, a lot of anger here on the street as well, and I think that people really feel that this is really the last sort of moment that they have to try and get that message out. You're absolutely right. Tomorrow evening, local time, obviously, the Constitutional Council of this country is going to decide whether this law is constitutional or whether all of it or parts of it are not constitutional. And obviously, that's a very, very important moment for the folks here. But a lot of the people that we've been speaking to are also saying no matter what the Constitutional Council decides, they are going to keep protesting because they are so angry at the government. And really, if you look at this right now, you look at some of the signs that you're seeing, you see some of the folks are breaking up the pavement right now, trying more rocks possibly for throwing. Yeah, a lot of people say that this is just so much anger now towards the government of Emmanuel Macron that they are going to continue to go on the street. You can feel that anger here. Right now, if you look behind me, you can see here there's another big standoff that's going on here right now between the riot police and some of the protesters. You can see things flying. That's sort of the way that all of this has gone. Another one of those flashbangs. That's sort of what's been going on here. We're going to go to the side to make sure we're sort of out of the way of some of these projectiles that are flying. As you can see, a lot of stuff flying through the air here. As at least on the fringes of this protest, things are getting a lot more violent. John.
And Fred, as long as you can stay safe, let me ask you one more question here as we see the smoke bombs going back and forth, protesters putting them toward the law enforcement there. You keep mentioning this is on the fringes of these demonstrations. How widespread exactly can you describe are scenes like this in Paris now? Are there several city blocks where there's smoke going up, or is this really just in one place?
Well, I would say definitely. There's another flashback. I would say that there's. Sorry, I'm getting some tear gas here, but I'll try and stay with you. It's on several city blocks. Sorry, I'm gonna have to head back to you.
Fred, catch your breath. Fred, catch your breath if you can. Catch your breath. Catch your breath. Let me just describe what's happening here. Catch your breath and let me know you're okay in a second. What's happening again is a standoff on the streets of Paris. You see law enforcement there with protesters at these various intersections. This is something we have seen before. They have these sort of pitched standoffs where the protesters, they put these smoke bombs right in the face of the law enforcement, and the smoke goes up into the air and gets everywhere, including in reporters' eyes and down their throats. Fred, are you back with me?
I'm back.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah, I'm back with you. I'm sorry. I just got a full load of tear gas in my face. Yeah, I got it's just a little tear gas. Yeah, so you were asking me how widespread this is. I mean, if we look around, we pan in the other direction, you can see it's going off there as well. So it certainly is several city blocks where this is going on here in Paris. It's basically one part of the demonstration that has had these confrontations with the police. I still think, from our vantage point, from what we've seen, the largest part of this protest is very much peaceful. It's almost like a carnival atmosphere, but you do have this on the fringes that is going on. In fact, I think we're going to go over there now. Let's walk over there and see what's going on over there. But yeah, it is definitely pretty big. I mean, the area where these clashes are going on are definitely several blocks here. And if you look over there, you can see that there are, in some cases, things that have been set on fire, trash cans that have been set on fire, flashbangs that have gone off. You can see some of our colleagues here who've had paint all over them. That's something that's also being used. Now, I think back there you can see some people are sort of essentially trying to break down the window of a shop there, I think. So that is something that is not completely widespread here in the city, but certainly that's going on in a fairly large area. As you can see, we've been walking a little bit here, and we just keep seeing scenes like these. As right now you can see the windows of that shop that have it seems as though someone has tried to break them and maybe has maybe not succeeded. And again, a lot of people here voicing their anger at the French president, at Emmanuel Macron, and really taking that out here on the street, as the riot police also countering all of that. John.
Fred, you had mentioned that many of the people that you are seeing, that they are young. Describe the makeup of the crowds. Is this union-driven? Is this generationally driven?
That's actually a really good question, John. I think it's something that's really important to point out to our viewers as we see some of this happening again. If we turn around, we can see there's the next confrontation that's about to happen. This is sort of guys from what they call the black bloc here, as you can see, hurling some projectiles towards the law enforcement over back there. But you're absolutely right. The police are charging now. Let me just see if we have to get out of the way. Hold on. The cops charging towards this direction. Here in a second. So we're right in the middle of it seems, right now. But as you were asking about the makeup sort of the crowd here, I think it is very important to point out that there are a lot of people from unions. There are a lot of people who, are a bit older, have been working for a long time, of sort of looking towards retirement. But there are also a lot of people who are nowhere near retirement age, very young people. And I think you can see that here in the crowd. And for them, yes, this is about the pension reform that Emmanuel Macron is trying to get through here in France, and has used executive powers to do just that. But it's also very much about the way. Oh, sorry, I got tear gas again. Oh.
All right, Fred, catch your breath again. Please catch your breath again. Get a drink of water.
Yeah, I'm back. Hi, John. Yeah, I'm back now. So sorry about that again. But yeah, I mean, it's, as you can see, things continue to kick off. But as I was just talking about, a lot of these young people are just extremely angry at the way that we have to move back, because we're actually right in the firing line of possible rocks being thrown, are just extremely angry at the way that Emmanuel Macron is trying to push through this pension reform. They believe that it's undemocratic, and you can really feel that this has now become about more than just the pension reform. It's become about the way that Emmanuel Macron is governing in general, and a lot of people are voicing their anger at that. And if you look at a lot of the signs that people are holding, if you look at a lot of the chants that we're hearing here on the street, they're a lot more generally against Emmanuel Macron's government than they are specifically against the pension reforms. You do have those people from the unions. As you can see, some projectiles flying again. These are rocks. People tend to break down the rocks here, some of the tarmac in the street, and then throw them at police officers. And, then very often the police will counter that with tear gas and then charge forward. It seems as though right now the police are moving back, though. But as you can see, John, some pretty violent scenes that are happening here on the streets of the French capital. And again, this is, we always have to point out, this is not the majority of the people who are marching. The majority of the people who are marching, they have their political concerns that they're trying to voice. This is just a small part of this march, but it does show that there is, a big confrontation going on, obviously, with law enforcement here. There's a lot of anger by some of these protesters against the police as well. Police in this country known sometimes to have some pretty heavy-handed tactics. And you can see there's just a general anger at the authorities, at the government that is being voiced by people of many ages. And it is, important to also point out that there are tens of thousands of people that we've seen this morning that are marching here today. Presumably there'll be hundreds of thousands marching throughout the entire country. And this protest movement really hasn't lost much steam, despite the fact that it's been going on for such a long time, John.